Hello and welcome back to SureFire Live. Thank you for joining me tonight. I have a very special guest, Kirk Chandler, on tonight. I keep hearing his name. And we've actually used him in our company as a guy you need to talk to about insurance claims. And I know that a lot of us get frustrated with insurance. Some people don't know how to use it. Some people don't know, that we get shot down all the time. So Kirk graciously said he would join us tonight. And so please ask a lot of questions. I think from what I understand, he's one of the best in the business, if not the best. And we have him tonight for some time. So please use his expertise. I was gone for a little while, had some traveling we did. And one of the fun things we did last week was our SureFire, part of this SureFire team that we have a thing called Accelerator. It's a handful of companies that are really trying to grow fast, and we have a special group of them. And I was going to show you, this was our group. We were up in New York. We got to visit with Anthony Valerio, who's been on the show before, and we got to visit with Kirk Felgemacher, Lisa Felgemacher, and Eric Felgemacher. That's hard to say. And saw how their businesses work. It's kind of like, if some people know what a mixed group is, management information exchange. We go in and we work with each other's businesses, and they showed us some of the great things they were doing, and ask us if we had ideas for what they were doing. And it's just a fantastic group. Chad Murray was part of it, Jack Washman and his manager Steve Trumbull, and Andy Grantham, and a lot of great people. Not our whole accelerator group, but a lot that wanted to travel and see other businesses. Is what we did. And they were so gracious, and Anthony and his crew were amazing, and Kurt and Lisa and their crew were great. So we just finished that up. We are working. We worked on a second group, and we don't know that we're gonna figure that out. So we're not taking new applications for the one accelerator. We may add to it because we got some people that wanted to join, but we're trying to enter in with Hearth Stores, and we're still trying to get that figured out. So bear with us. If you're interested in Accelerator, we're probably going to form another group, but that's what we're doing. We got our first comment of the night, and it is a great group. So hey, Diane, how are you? Great to see you. And yeah, that's a great group of people that were it's a group of people that are really trying to be different. They're open. They want new ideas, but they also want to share ideas. And I find those are the kind of people I like to be around, is people that they're not set in their ways yet. They're not crusty, and they're not, been there, done that kind of mentality. I personally can't stand that kind of mentality. I like the people who are always curious, who are always ready to learn something new, willing to share what they've got, but know that they're not perfect, and know that a lot of times when we visit these businesses, it's just like a snapshot in time. Like right now, it's this, and it could be great, it could be terrible, but that means it's going to stay that way. And also, you can't take too much away from it going, oh, we have to change everything and be just like them. Because a lot of times, and we talked about this in a group, we'll show you something new that we're doing. We don't know for sure that it's going to work yet. We want to show you the cutting edge stuff that we're trying. And that's exciting to me. Now you revisit that a year or two later and go, that didn't really work out. Or, hey, this was, a foundational move that we did. And that's the fun stuff. And like, for people like me who've been in the industry a long time, I can show you a lot of foundational moves that I know will work 100% for sure. But I'm also going to show you a bunch of stuff I'm not sure if it's going to work or not. This is just what we're trying, and time will tell. We've got I'm not sure what she said. Excellent eclectic group. Oh yeah, we are pretty eclectic. We're all very different, that's for sure. But as you guys know, this is a two-sided conversation. Please ask questions, and we will do our best to field them. And to me, it makes the show so much more valuable. So with that, let's bring on Kurt and let's talk insurance. So here he comes. Hey man, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm excited to be back. I was had a little hiatus for a couple of weeks, and I actually got some texts from people saying, "Hey, I'm having some withdrawals. So when are you going to do this again?" So that's so nice. But so Kurt, thank you for joining us tonight. I keep hearing your name, and in fact, you were a big name in our accelerator meeting that we were just at. So I know you've worked with several of the companies in this group that I just showed, and your name kept popping up. And I sent you a message from the group while everybody's talking about you. So that's how this happened. But So for people who don't know who you are, tell everybody who you are and how you got in this crazy chimney business game.
It's a great story. So I worked for 42 years in the major oil company business. I was in the lubricants business, not the gasoline or asphalt. I was in the middle cut of the refinery, and I did that for 42 years. Ended my career in the agricultural business. We had an oil that was very pure. You could spray it on trees and plants and vines, and it killed bugs and fungus and things like that. So most people don't know that oil can be used as a pesticide, but I got to go to a lot of cool places and see a lot of things. I retired. I guess it'll be 4 years right about now. I retired from the oil industry, and I was living in Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia, in a city called a little town called Westchester. And my daughter met a young man in Annapolis, Maryland, who we really like, and she got married and she started to want to start a family. So we're like, what are we doing up here? Let's go to Maryland. So we came down here 3 years ago, unpacked the boxes, and within 30 days, COVID hit. Oh, wow. And just shut all of our plans down. We were going to do this, that, everything. And so my brother, during this period, he's a public insurance adjuster. He said to me, Kirk, you'd be really good at this. You ought to try it. And I'm like, well, tell me a little bit about it. So he told me about it, and I said, okay, I'm going to do it. I like people. I like helping people. I love sales, marketing. So I studied for the exam, passed it on the first time, which I'm pretty happy about, and became a licensed public insurance adjuster in the state of Maryland. So that's how I got into it. Now, how did I get into chimneys and chimney fires and smoke released into the house? That's another interesting story. So the company has this thing that you have to turn in 3 claims before they'll sponsor you as a public adjuster and back you with all the stuff that they back you with.
The company that you started working for?
Yeah, Metro Public Adjustment.
Gotcha.
And so I was out trying to find some claims, and a tornado came through Annapolis, and I picked up a claim, 2 claims from that. Never did a tornado before because Maryland doesn't have very many tornadoes. But anyhow, the 3rd claim had to be something in your own house. Now, they said, do it in your own house. Why? Because they want you to experience what it's like to go through the process as a homeowner. So I'm looking around my house, and to be honest, the lady, she fixed this house up to the gills to sell it for the highest dollar possible. And we appreciated that, but I'm looking around trying to figure out what is wrong, what damage. And I was laying in bed, and then I remembered my wife started the fireplace, and she didn't do it right. She forgot to open the damper. You guys have seen these. And I wasn't there. I was outside. And next thing you know, the whole house filled up with smoke. She opened up the door, sparks came out, hit the carpet, burned like a quarter hole size in the carpet. And I come home, she had it under control, but the house was, I opened the windows, put the fans on, the smoke alarms, they were going off. And I said, that'll be it. Maybe that'll be the claim. So I called, my brother was my sponsor, and I called him up. I said, Jeff, maybe my burnt carpet can be my claim to get that thing to become a Metro public adjuster. So he said, well, how many square feet? We added it up, $1,800 claim. Well, that's kind of pretty low. He said, but we're going to put it in because it's a training exercise. That's what we're trying to do. So I said, okay. So they sent out a public insurance adjuster from Metro, who happens to be the guy that I do a lot of my work with. His name is Luis Nieves from Puerto Rico. Very good guy, very smart. And he spent about exactly 15 seconds on the burnt carpet. And I'm like, man, that's what I have you here for. He goes, no. He said, you told me you had smoke released into the house. And I said, yeah. I explained it. And he goes, do you mind if I test for smoke damage in your house? And so I said, no. So he went over to the wall by the window, and he rubbed the sponge about a foot on, he turned it over, it was black. I had smoke damage. He said, this smoke damage is going to have to be cleaned up. And, by the way, it's going to end up becoming much more costly than the carpet. So I won't tell you how much he ended up getting for me, but I got a lot of stuff in the house cleaned, which needed cleaned. All the paint was being destroyed because it's acidic.
Yeah.
And so I said, bingo, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do chimneys and I'm going to do smoke released into the house. So very close to that occurrence, there was a company function training where you learned how to do social media. And I knew how to get online. I used my email, all that stuff, but I wasn't very good at Facebook. I didn't even have an account. So I knew all the marketing they were teaching because I had a little bit of marketing background. But I didn't have social media. So the long and the short of it is I decided to, after I learned how it worked, I signed up into the chimney groups that there were, which you know which ones they are. Mm-hmm. And it's the greatest group of people. I mean, everybody helps each other out. You don't really run into wisecrackers. I mean, it's really a helpful community. I found that they had the same values I did. I mean, I'm getting off track here, but I really liked it. And next thing you know, and they say in social media, don't be the guy who comes to the swimming pool, goes to the third platform and does a cannonball, gets everybody wet. And everybody says, who's this jerk?
Right.
Just put your blanket down or get your chair and just talk to the person next to you. Next thing you know, people get to know you, that kind of thing. And that's what I did.
I like that analogy. That's very true.
Yeah. So that's how I ended up getting into it. And then I just dedicated, if I didn't have an answer, I found out because we have good people in the company that really know their stuff. And I would come back and try to get answers within the same day. And I built up a bit of a reputation. And now I have a lot of guys that are working with me, a lot of guys and gals.
Some people don't know what a public adjuster is. Can you explain how that works and why you're different than everybody thinks they know what adjuster is, but you throw a public adjuster and they think it's the same thing in my experience. So can you tell everybody how that works?
Yeah, that's a good question. A public adjuster, the simple answer, works for the homeowner or the property owner, whereas the insurance adjuster works for the insurance company.
Right. That's
the first difference. So we're both licensed. We both have to take a state exam and get our license. I find that the insurance adjusters, they're going through people so fast that I know more than they do. If you look at, this is something that you guys may want to know, but basically most insurance companies have the same format. They have a field adjuster and they have a desk adjuster. The desk adjuster is the quarterback. He's the one who calls the shots. The field adjuster is kind of the go-to person. He goes out, she goes out. They investigate the claim. They write up certain things. They make a recommendation, but it's the desk adjuster who's the one that makes the call. And then the desk adjuster has a supervisor if things get.
I've been shut down by that desk adjuster a bunch.
Yeah, the desk adjuster is the key guy. So the answer to the question is that I work for the property owner. That's who I work for. I'm an advocate for them. I'm trying to get them the right amount of money to fix the damage. I'm looking out for them. I'm giving them honest answers. I'm giving them the lay of the ground, whereas the insurance company, it doesn't always happen.
You're really trying to whatever the claim is, trying to maximize the benefit for the homeowner, so they basically get everything covered that can be covered, that should be covered. Where
that's correct.
The insurance company that we all know tries to minimize what they pay. Sometimes you feel like they're being nice, but you don't know what they're leaving off the table until you bring in somebody like you that kind of exposes, like you said, the smoke damage. A lot of people may not even find that. I bet that's a common thing that's not found.
Exactly. Now, there's a little known fact that I think will benefit everybody on a personal level, but also in your business. The insurance company does not have to look for the damage points. If you tell them that I've got a roof that's damaged, but you forget to tell them that you had your siding damaged or the water came inside your house, you didn't know about it, they're not going to look for it. They're just going to work on the roof. It's up to you as a homeowner to report all the points of damage so that you can have the scope like this, very small, or you can have the scope like this, which you maximize, get all the points of damage.
That's interesting. A couple quick comments. Big hello from Wisconsin. Thank you, Josh. Good to see you. Braxton Hills says, dealing with insurance companies denying claims. Owner is a fireman and put out his own chimney fire. Insurance company refuses to pay because faulty install due to non-insulated liner and sealed at top with the crown. Severe amount of combustibles creosote between tiles and liner. Faulty install or not. Fire event causing damage. So I'm not sure the question here. It sounds like it's more of a, comment of what's happening and it's being denied because I'm not quite sure. What do you make of this question, Kirk?
So I'm looking at the question, and number one, the property owner had a chimney fire, right?
Yep.
The insurance company denied the claim. The argument that I'm using insurance term, the argument that the insurance company made didn't address the fire, in my opinion, if I'm reading this right. The insurance company came back and said they refused to pay. The peril was fire. That's the thing that caused the damage. And they refused to pay the claim because of a faulty install during saying a non-insulated liner, and it wasn't sealed at the tip of the crown. I don't know how that caused the fire.
Right.
So this is something we would fight. Okay.
So I'll tell you, like I've been in this situation before. The next line, he says, severe amount of combustible creosote between the tiles and the liner. So I've had this situation happen before where we had a fire that occurred outside of the liner because it wasn't totally clean or got clean or they didn't remove the tiles or whatever. And so they're saying the faulty install was because they shouldn't have put a liner in a dirty chimney and there was no insulation. So it caught the creosote on fire outside the insulation. In other words, improper installation. In some ways, this sounds like it was an improper installation.
So are they saying, are we talking about a situation where the creosote was on, let's say they had a tile flue, and then they put a stainless steel liner inside that and they never cleaned the creosote out. And then the stainless steel liner, how did the stainless steel liner get so hot that it could cause a fire?
It's on fire and then it radiates to outside of the liner.
So thank you. You just made my argument.
Yeah.
There was a fire inside the stainless steel liner that extended.
Yeah.
So in this case, the insurance company's trying to push the homeowner away and see if he goes away.
So you'd have to prove that the liner was on fire. And
yes.
So for us, we could show that there was a liner on fire and it did spread to that. But and maybe it's possible, but just the heat most of the time just melts the creosote down. It kind of has to have a flame to get the creosote on fire, not just heat source, because normally just the heat source can melt it. But I could be wrong on that. It's just my personal, what I've seen. But Braxton, if you want to comment back on that. Oh, so he said correct. Thank you. So so then we have another.
There's Vince. Hey, Vince, how you doing, man?
Yeah, he said you've been very helpful.
Okay.
We're going to continue on Braxton.
I was just going to say that without knowing all the details and so forth, that would be a good claim to explore.
Yeah, Braxton, I would search for the chimney fire source inside the liner possibility if you're trying to prove that it moved from one place to another. Okay, sometimes I can't tell who the people are commenting because they have to give permissions, and so sometimes this Facebook user says, "Had a flood in my house. He didn't want to give me anything. I wish I would have known about this." Um, so I was telling you about a situation.
I can answer that question, Mark, if you
Yeah,
want.
go ahead.
Okay. So, first of all, I would ask, when did it happen? Because you have a certain period of time where you can go back and you can file a claim. And then there's a certain point, depending on state, where you can't. It's past the statute of limitations. So I would want to know, was it within the last year? Was it within the last 2 years? If it was longer than 2 years, it's probably a dead deal. He also said flood. Flood is a red flag. Floods are not necessarily covered because you get flood insurance from the federal government for floods. But if it was groundwater that came into the house, that's a general rule that's not covered.
Groundwater coming into a house isn't
Let's say
covered.
groundwater runs off of a hill and comes up against your house and then finds its way through the wall, or I don't know how it gets in, but that's typically not covered.
That happened in Nashville in 2010. The Nashville flooded, and almost nobody had flood coverage, and it was a unique thing, and it was a disaster. So that brings me to another flood situation I had today. So I'll bring this up. So 2 hours before this thing started, I get a call from Nashville Fire Department saying, "Hey, your unit, I own some commercial units. One has my chocolate business, and we have 2 Airbnbs that own commercial Airbnbs in the same kind of complex." The apartment above us, I guess, was treating for some kind of bed bugs or something. We didn't know about this, but they were using heat, and they set off the sprinkler system, and they popped it, and it flooded my unit a few hours ago. And I mean, I get to the thing, the video. I mean, there's just this much water in the bottom. Everything's wet. It's coming down the walls. The walls are bubbling. Is this a good claim to now? I immediately called my insurance company. They sent SureFire out, their guys that they recommended, and they came right out to start the getting the water out and getting everything dried and putting things in storage and getting the walls cut. Is this a good claim? Is this something I should talk to you about?
Sure.
When is it a good time to call Kirk?
In Tennessee, there's a cap of 10%, which really limits the amount that we can charge. So when I do claims in states that have a cap like that, I tell the property owner, really, do you have time to do all the work with the insurance company and all the runarounds? For 10%, it's probably a good idea to get some professional help.
So in our case, it's not very much of a charge, for it. And basically you make your money they write me a check for whatever, and you get 10% of that check is kind of how
right. There's no upfront money from you to me. There's no money if I don't get any money. I mean, it's all on contingency.
Right. So let me ask you this. You're hated by some insurance companies, or when they bring you in, they don't like it. So tell me about that relationship. Does it hurt me? Okay, let's just say I have a good relationship with my insurance agent. I say, "Hey man, I'm bringing in a public adjuster." Does he care? I mean, this isn't even his claim. He doesn't care because it's a pest control company he's going to have to pay. But how does that relationship work? And is threatening to bring in a public adjuster legit? What does that do?
I think you have to be careful with that. If you say you're going to bring in a public adjuster as a lever let me back up and say, let's say if you are going to help the homeowner, and I don't mean this in the bad way, but you're going to help the homeowner, and you guys are going to have a do-it-yourself approach. You guys are going to do it yourself, and
the homeowner's going to do it themselves, or not the chimney company. We're talking about.
Let's say you're helping, coaching the homeowner. You're not doing it, but you're
We
coaching.
found chimney damage. Looks like it's a chimney fire, and we're trying to coach the homeowner what to do.
But if you're coaching the homeowner and the homeowner wants to be a do-it-yourselfer, most likely they're going to get do-it-yourselfer results. Okay, it's not going to be the best. Okay, and then if you throw, oh, I know a public adjuster, tell the insurance company that you're going to get a public adjuster, and the homeowner does that, that just shuts down the insurance company in a nanosecond.
Okay.
They put your claim in the file drawer, and now try getting that sucker out. You'll not get it out.
Exactly. They try to just wear you down by attrition and non-response.
Exactly.
I got a lightning strike right now that tore the hell out of the chimney, and we cannot get the insurance company to respond back. This chimney's tarped up. Half the chimney's hanging off. If you follow me on Facebook, you saw me go up on a lift and look at it. It's totally ripped apart. Insurance company's like ghosting them.
Yeah. There's a book out that written by a professor at Rutgers University, and it's called Delay, Deny, and I forget, it's another D word, but that's what they do. They delay, they deny it. We switched adjusters. Now you got to start all over from ground zero with the new guy who doesn't know what end is up. And then they switch him. And next thing you know, you're looking at 6, 7, 8 months down the road, and you haven't made one step forward.
Yeah. People just get tired of it. They just try to wear them down.
Meanwhile, you need your house fixed, and you want to use the fireplace.
So a couple other things. You kind of explained this. Somebody already said he was going to call you tomorrow. So I'm going to post your phone number in a minute. Okay. Braxton says, how do public adjusters fees work, and what's the average cost to tell customers? So that's you kind of answered part of it, but I don't know if there's average cost to tell customers. There's no cost to the customer, right? You pay your deductible possibly, and that's it.
Yeah. So our fees, our typical fee is 35%. If we're in a cap state like Tennessee, it's 10%. We're limited. And then we have minimums where we say, well, we can't handle that unless it hits a certain minimum because we can't put people on it.
Yeah.
Now, our fee comes down off of 35% the bigger the claim gets. Like you were telling me prior to the show that you have a friend who's a public adjuster, but he doesn't touch anything for less than 100,000.
Right.
Well, my fee at 100,000 is less than 35%. I can guarantee you that.
Gotcha.
If I go to a house fire, when you're talking about going over $200,000 pretty quickly, my fee's 10%.
Right.
Yep. Okay. You go to a big house that's $500,000, it's 8%. We don't go below 8%. Yep. So it's a sliding scale, but most of the chimney fires are around 20,000.
Right.
10 to 30, but a lot around 20. I mean, I've seen them go as high as 50. So I've seen them actually go a little higher than that. So you can. It's best that I handle the fee with the customer, because if the customer typically has already started to work with the insurance company and they've either been denied or they've been low paid.
Right.
And when either of those outcomes happen, their file's not getting any better. It's not going to improve. It's where it is. What you see is what you get.
So when is the time to involve? So here's what we have done, and I think it's wrong. So tell me the right frame when to engage you. We typically write up our estimate, what we see as wrong, chimney fire, cracked flue tiles, blah, blah, blah. Here's the things. Now, if it gets out into the wall or whatever, that they involve other people. But when we find it ourselves, this all we can see is this thing that we know about. We say, talk to your insurance company from here. And then a lot of times when they deny it or they send an engineer out to refute it, and if they deny it, then we're like, well, then we should get the public adjuster involved, or call Kurt or whatever. Tell me the right what we as an industry, how should we do this?
Yeah, that's a great question. What I recommend is do the same thing that you just said. Do your standard procedure. Tell them that they have damage, that they should talk to their insurance company, but have them call me first, and I'll give them free coaching.
Really? Okay.
Okay.
You might regret that after this SureFire Live. Your phone is.
I know.
There's already several people like, I'm calling him. I'm calling him. I'm calling.
It's just it's what I do, and I try to answer everybody quickly. It'd be a good problem, but I'll get on the phone with the customer, and I'll ask the certain questions, and then I will tell them what to expect. Right. Now, a claim falls into three categories. A person says, I had a bad experience with insurance companies and I don't want to go through it again. Will you take it from the beginning? Okay, I understand what I'm up against and it's not good. And I would say probably 25% of my claims are like that.
Okay.
And my fee is, I give them a break on that kind of fee because they're coming from the beginning. Things haven't gotten messed up. To be honest with you, the homeowner can mess things up. They say things that are used against them.
Yeah.
The next amount is they file a claim. They think the insurance company's their friend, and they find out they're not. It's a whole different group of people on that side of the fence called claims people. And they get low paid. They have a bill for $20,000 to fix the fireplace. It's a fair quote. Everything's legit. And the insurance company comes back and says, well, I don't see it that way. I see 6.
Yep.
Now that guy's got to come up with $14,000 and, he doesn't want to take it out of his savings account or take a loan or whatever he has to do. That one, I get called in on that one probably about 50% of the time. So I've got to take that claim out of the file cabinet drawer. The good thing is the claim has been approved. Even for him to get $6,000, the claim got approved. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just a question of how much money is he entitled to. So that's a little different. The worst ones are where he makes a claim and the claim got denied. That gets put in the file cabinet drawer and the cabinet drawer gets closed. And to get it out of it, well, the worst one is when they bring an engineer in.
Well, that's the name of the game. As long as I'm on site with an engineer, I haven't lost, but they'll tell you they won't tell you a time they're coming, or they'll tell you we're going to be there at 10 and they show up at 9 and they show up before you or whatever. A friend of mine at this accelerator meeting says we show up at least an hour, 2 hours before the engineer says they're going to be there and sit there and wait on them. Because they'll tell you wrong, so they don't have to deal with you or even see you. They'll try to get in and get out. So anyway, I thought that was in. We got a bunch of questions. Let me ask you this one thing about what you said, claim denied. I've been told and seen where people threaten to take it to the state commission or the insurance commission of the state or some kind of a regulatory body. We haven't done it to report them. That seems to be sometimes have leveraged. Can you speak to that at all?
From my position, I don't think it has been helpful in any of the cases I've seen. It means it's going to get a review, but unless there's like a gross, I just haven't seen it.
Well, in our case, we find, pyrolyzed creosote. We find cracked flue liners. We find at the top, the liner's broken and the crack goes down the side of the crown into the brick, like all the things, and they still deny it. To me, that is gross. That is negligence. I could even have a report that, a year ago when it was inspected, none of this damage is there. Now it's there, like some kind of a time of loss, except that they didn't call the fire department and they didn't know it happened, but it happened. And to me, that's when we really start fighting with stuff we know about as an industry, and and we feel the homeowner has, this kind of insurance, they pay for this kind of loss, and then they're denied.
Yeah.
I guess that's a personal thing. When you feel, we as an industry feel it's gross that we could pull that lever, but to me, it'd be the lever pulled after dealing with you possibly, or no?
I think it's better to come and talk to me first, and you can always go. I mean, you can do whatever you want. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the person.
Yeah, sure.
I'm dealing with one right now. There was a chimney fire. Flames were coming out of the top of the chimney. The neighbor saw it, came to the front door, rang the doorbell. The father was already with the son trying to put the fire out with a fire extinguisher. The fire company came. The fire was out by then. They wrote a report saying there was a chimney fire. The insurance company denied it.
Was there damage?
Yes.
Well, see, to me, that's the gross negligence.
Yeah.
That has to be reported at every level.
So we've gotten the file out of the file cabinet, and now we're in the point of saying, like, now they're asking for all this ridiculous stuff, and we're getting it for them. But I just, she went to a notary republic, the neighbor, and swore that she saw the fire coming out of the chimney. The fire company came and wrote a report saying there was a chimney fire. That's usually pretty good.
That's usually a lot. That's usually a done deal for us. When
Yeah.
that gets paid. I've never had that not get claimed when we have all that stuff.
This is my first one with this much evidence too. So, but
let me ask you this. We got a bunch of questions. I got to get
okay.
We might be a little longer than an hour. This is a fascinating topic. Are there certain insurance carriers that are better to deal with than others?
Yes.
Can you name 2 good ones? I don't want to name any bad ones, but who do you like?
Chubb.
Okay. I've heard of them.
Travelers has been pretty good.
My buddy works a lot with Travelers and said they're good.
Yeah. USAA was good, but they seem to be changing their stripes.
That's what everybody says. I've heard that so many times.
And you know what? You have to take a look at it from their point of view. They're trying to run a business. They've had a huge hit that they took in Florida for that hurricane that came through that drained all their money, many of them. Mm-hmm. They had the big issues with the fires out west, and they had Hawaii. So these guys, basically, they got in. This is the world according to Kirk. They got into a room and said, start denying claims.
Yeah.
We don't have cash.
Yeah, we're going to run out of money. Yeah. So let's go through some questions. So thank you for that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Tony Taylor says, I hired a public adjuster who turned my personal $1,500 claim into an $80,000 claim. Recommend him often. My question is, do you work directly with sweeps? And if so, how do you complement each other?
The answer is I work with sweeps. And how do I complement them is basically what Mark was saying is that you do an inspection of the chimney, you find all the evidence, you find the vertically cracked tiles, you find, it's great when you find, well, I mean, I'm saying for the claim, it's great if you find creosote. If you find creosote fluff, that's evidence of a fire.
Do you save that? We've been told to
save it.
Yeah.
Save it and take a picture.
Yeah. Put it in a bag, have the homeowner keep it.
Yes. And so then what they'll say is the tech who's there at the house will say, you've had, you're the one, that tech is the one that has to tell them they got a $20,000 bill coming. They thought they were just going to have a cleaning and be done and start the fire up. Now, so you say, okay, well, this is damage. It's likely to be an insurance claim. You can file a claim with your insurance company using my report, but I recommend you call Kirk first.
Okay.
Kirk works for Metro Public Adjustment. They're the nation's largest public adjuster. He specializes in chimneys. And for a free consultation, he will give you tips and things to say and things to avoid. Don't speculate.
I think I just came up with a tagline for you.
What's that?
But first, Kirk.
But first, Kirk. I like that.
I think that is your tagline in all.
But first, Kirk.
But first, Kirk.
And then I'll have a conversation. Like I had a conversation with a guy in upstate New York. He's one of these guys who he hasn't filed a claim in 16 years, just doesn't want to do it. And I said, well, let me ask you this. Did you call your insurance company about this? He said, yeah. I called my agent. And I said, did you explain what was going on? Yeah. And I said, you most likely have filed a claim and don't even know it. There's probably a claim number that's been assigned to you as a result of you reporting this issue.
Really?
So you're already in the pool.
Gotcha.
You're not up on the beach chair. You're
Sure.
in it. Now you better get treated fairly.
Yeah, you better go all the way in and get it. All right. So Josh says, Kirk, I've never heard of a person that does what you do. I've always been the guy fighting for the customer, and we'd love to hand it off. It's not fun.
I know.
Kurt says, are you national, or how do we find someone like you in Wisconsin? Do we get public adjuster or refer to the customer?
So I'm licensed in the state of Wisconsin. I can handle, well, my company can handle any state. We're licensed in every state. I'm the chimney guy. If I don't have a license in a state, then I hand it off to our director of adjusting, who is the most knowledgeable guy I know. And so we handle it one way or the other, either me directly or Bill.
So Josh, he's our guy in Wisconsin. If not, if you're listening from another state, call Kirk. He will either handle it or hand it to somebody who he can refer to, but they'll probably get back to Kirk as a chimney guy. If you're the chimney guy in the company, they're still probably coming back.
Yeah. So I'll help Bill with whatever. And Bill's like, he gets put on all the top claims, but I'll be like a gopher. Is that a good way? I'll be a gopher for Bill to get stuff.
Yeah, he'd be a chauffeur.
Or coach him, because I mean, I can't believe I'm coaching Bill, but I do know more than he does when it comes to chimneys.
Sure. Diane says the name of the book was Delay, Deny.
That's it.
Yeah. Next question, Mark, John from Dr. Sweep. The customer has to, so back to your fees. The customer has to pay his 35% fee, correct? So on a 30,000 clean or claim, the customer has to pay 10.5.
I don't have my calculator, but that's how it works.
Right. So you get more money. You get your fee covered. But John, yes, you get him involved. He's gonna find everything possible, but you have to pay him out of that fee. Do you ever not get paid by customers? They get the check and they don't pay you?
I got stiffed by one customer.
Well, I get stiffed all the time while we work all this stuff and get it all worked up and get the claim paid, and then the customer keeps the money and doesn't have us do the work. It's so frustrating. I'm sorry you got stiffed up.
And it was, I won't get into it, but it
can happen.
It was kind of one of those stories where you kind of go like, you're kidding me.
Yeah. Sometimes they've never had that much money in their bank account. All of a sudden they go in their account and they don't want it to go back out.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, okay. So, well done, gentlemen. Insurance claim.
Well, look, can I just talk about that last question?
Absolutely. Whoops. Yeah.
All right. So that was a $30,000 chimney job, right? 30,000.
Yeah. It was a reference to that. Yes.
So the first thing I would do is say, did that guy have more damage than $30,000? I mean, let's face it. A sweep is looking at the chimney, and he knows everything about that and what's going on. I'm going to take a look and find out, did he have smoke damage?
I think he's saying at the end of the day, after they use your services, you got 30,000 for them, they would basically need to cut you the check for 10.5. I'm sure the chimney sweep came and said it was 10. You got it plussed up to whatever, but your fee comes out of that.
Yes, correct. Nothing changes that. That's correct. But I'm just trying to say that I'll be looking for more damage.
Yeah.
And that'll sometimes end up paying for the whole deal.
Yeah. Like you said, smoke damage is one thing. I know chimney sweeps pretty much don't know even how to check that. Sometimes we swipe under the under the mantle, go, oh yeah, it looks like it's soda, but you go all over with those sponges and can find.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Well done, gentlemen. Let's see, my screen got crazy. Well done, gentlemen. Insurance claims are unique. There's a lot of damage to chimneys that goes undiagnosed. I've always had good success helping customers get losses covered. I feel all suits in the industry would benefit from a CEU class on insurance claims. When, why, where, how. I did one last year at the OCSA convention. Hey, I can't see who this is, but if you're volunteering, let's talk.
There's a guy I think you guys know in Cleveland, Corey, who does training on insurance claims, and he's very
Corey Flowers. Mm-hmm.
Yes, he's very knowledgeable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, Mark, John again, Dr. Sweep. If there's outside brick damage when you see a vertical crack, can we bid all the outside work on chimneys? I got my opinion, but Kirk, you want to handle that?
So if we see a vertical crack on the outside to the brick chase, we definitely would think the heat caused that.
Right.
And we would likely pursue that as part of the claim.
Yep, same here. Especially if you can get, like we call it the money shot, but if you can get that cracked flue tile at the top radiating down through the crown and down into the brick, like for us, that's like covered. I mean, you can't ever say it's for sure covered, but that's a good picture to get. Just to transfer, or even like we've had situations where we found a flue fire right in the middle and you could see where it did damage to the outside, like directly behind it, where it expanded out and you could see where something cracked or popped. But yes, John, yes, a lot of times flue fires, clearly lightning strikes radiate through the whole chimney and cause interior and exterior damage. And that all can be covered sometimes. Yvette says, hi, hello. Thank you for joining us. I think John White, he's active tonight. He says, if the customer meets an insurance claim for, let's say, $50,000, how much does the insurance go up? So that's an interesting question. A lot of people think their insurance goes up with claims. And I've always been told that that's not like auto insurance. They can drop you, but they don't raise your rates. is that true?
They're not supposed to raise your rates because you filed a claim.
Right.
Because the way insurance works is you're put into a pool of people. It could be your zip code, it could be your county, it could be your state. And then that's how it happens, is that people who have damage, they kind of get subsidized by people who don't have damage or didn't file a claim. If they do drop you because of that, they have to have a good reason. And but they can't. Now, can they raise their rates on you? That's a good question. If you look at an insurance policy, you'll see many policies will have like, okay, the insurance, $1,500 is what the policy, normally the policy would be $2,000, but because you haven't filed a claim in 5 years, we'll give you $250 discount. Because you've been they give you a little discounts, that they kind of like, it's giving the sleeves out of their vest, right? But they really knew that $1,500 was what they're going to quote you, but they make themselves look good. Now they may come back and say, well, you filed a claim, I'm taking back that $250. Well, you filed a claim, so therefore you're not a good, you're on probation with us or whatever they call it. Mm-hmm. So that kind of money can be taken away.
Like discounted money, you don't get the discount. But
yeah, you don't
raising the rates. I've heard that was only really an automobile or like workman's comp thing.
Yeah. A lot of people don't file claims because of that. And I say to them, okay, it's your choice. You can do what you want. But you know what? You're self-funding, your insurance.
Right.
The only people I knew that self-funded was the oil companies. They could afford to take a $10 million hit,
Yeah. So another question I had was, or Alan Rush told me to ask you this. What about code upgrade insurance? Like when people have that, or I think Jim Brewer said it had a different name, but Alan says he asks customers if they have that. So therefore then if you had got, a house built in 2006 and the code's changed in 2020, you get that upgrade when you have the right kind of policies. Is that right? Or can you expound on that?
Okay, the answer is yes. You can buy a code upgrade rider, or people call them riders in addition. But a lot of people don't know to ask for that.
Right.
And what that'll do, it doesn't cost that much money. And what it does is if a code upgrade goes through, and there are code upgrades on chimneys, I run into that a lot. First thing I do is look at their policy to see if they have a code upgrade coverage addendum.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it does exist. It's a good thing for yourself personally to look into, because government officials, they find things, they improve things, they change things. Sometimes they do it because they like to. I don't know.
Yeah. So, question from Matt Santiago. He says, so does the fee come out of proceeds intended for work?
The answer is yes. If the estimate comes in at 20,000, let's use the one where the person goes with public adjuster from the beginning. So we get them $20,000 for the chimney repair. That's the same amount that the chimney company quoted. My fee comes out. They have the difference to come up with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times, that's why so many people want to try to see what they can get from the insurance company. And even though it makes it harder to go back and get more money, at least they got some money that doesn't get hit with the fee.
Right. And the thought is they might not get any of the money. It might be denied and you get zero. So
Yeah.
Matt, if the chimney bid was 20 and he only got 20, yes. But I would bet, Kurt, that you're going to say if the chimney bid was 20, you're probably going to try to get 40. Like you're going to add
Yes.
more to the chimney bid. And it may have to come out of the painting money or, something else that you find. But then they've got a chunk of money to find their own possible, vendor or contractor to do that kind of work. And I've got X amount to pay for things, but it's got to come from somewhere. But your fee, it's not in addition to, it's out of the pot that
it's out of the pot of money.
Yeah.
But you made a good point, and I don't promote that enough. We like to say that we get more money than the person expected.
Yeah.
Because we're looking at a wider scope than they would.
Yeah.
We're looking at a wider scope than even their contractor explained.
Yeah. Yeah. We look through chimney vision and we do not know all the other things that you look at and you bring you in. And what I've seen and what people have used, you have said that you got the customers a lot more money and it helped the chimney company too, because we got our job.
Yeah.
We got the job and we got paid properly for it. And then they got some extra money to do some other things that nobody would have seen without bringing you in.
Yeah.
So, okay. So question, have customers ever had a problem paying you, having all the necessary work completed? And that was kind of what we said before.
No, because we have the check come to us.
I think that's what you mean by that. Now,
I don't know if that answers the question. Is the way it happens is the insurance company. Sometimes the customer has to sign the check because of their banking mortgage, and then they have to forward it to us. We take the check, take our fee out, and then send the remainder back to the customer. So that's how we kind of protect ourselves. I did have that one guy who did stiff me. After we got him, it's a long story I won't get into, but there was a gasoline tanker truck that blew up right in front of his house because it got ran off the road and hit a tree.
wow.
And there was like 5 houses in a row that got damaged. We got this guy 2 times as much as the next closest house, and he didn't pay us.
Oh my gosh.
And I just turned that over to our people, and they figure it out.
That's tough. That's so heartbreaking when you do all the right things.
Yeah.
Okay. So question. I love using lifelines to make things benefit the customer. You can ask for our financing. So we do a lot of financing when people, that's part of our process. Do we refer you to the customer or build it? No, we wouldn't build it into the bid, Josh, for sure, because we don't know what he's going to bid. You would just refer, like you said, but first, Kirk. That's just the thing. And then yeah, you would refer it to him first. We can show how they would pay for what our thing is, but if it's going to be an insurance claim, you just, at this point, ask Kirk to look at it and see if it's a good claim for him.
What's the worst that can happen is the customer calls me, spends 15 minutes. I usually they spend more time because I'm answering a lot of questions. And then they say, no, that's okay. I don't want to use you. And I say, okay, no problem.
Yeah. Other questions? Sorry for all the questions. Just that's what this is for. We got into this the past year. We've sold 10 jobs on an average of $23,000 each job. We have 5 in the queue right now. I believe we gave Kirk one job and the customer did not want to pay the fees. Is there any advice he could give us to justify the fees? That's an interesting question.
Basically, they think they can do it themselves.
Right.
They don't want to pay the fee. Well, that's why doctors get paid. That's why plumbers get paid. That's why chimney sweeps get paid, because they have a specialty. So I don't know, a person like that, I guess he has to get to the end of the line and see what happens.
Yeah. And there's always those people, they don't see the value in things. But if you understand that in general, your job is to get them more money. And if it works really well in their favor. And especially if they feel like they're either not going to get covered or they're not going to get covered enough, which is happening more and more. I think this public adjuster thing, the more people know about it and the tighter the insurance companies go, the better your business is going to get.
They've been getting tight lately.
Yeah. Has it been harder for you too, though? Like since they've been getting tighter, is it more of a battle for you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's they're stretching that book, delay, deny,
Mm-hmm.
that they're using those tactics. And so they take a claim that they may have paid in 30 days in the past, and they're taking it out 4 months, 6 months.
Yeah, I'm totally seeing that too. Josh was talking to John. This is great. My mind is blown. It's always good to blow people's minds. Well, man, we are coming to the end of I told you we'd be about an hour. This hour went fast for me. My gosh.
I enjoyed it. It was great.
So I'm going to put up Kurt's information real quick so you guys can see how to contact him. And this is his email. And it's Kirk Chandler, his name, at Metro PA, and it's a public adjuster.com. And that's his email. And then let me put his phone number up. 610-420-2287 is how you get a hold of him. And I thank you for just being such a great advocate and opening a door for us chimney guys, just like Josh says, another lifeline for us to be able to, get somebody that knows this industry and is fighting. We're always fighting for the homeowner. Of course, we're fighting for ourselves too, because that's our business, but we're in the business of trying to find issues so you don't burn your house down. And if you have issues, try to get you covered. And that battle's getting harder every day.
Mm-hmm. I do have one question that I get asked a lot, like, how do I start using you?
Yeah.
And I say it's as simple as picking up the phone and calling me, or texting me, or emailing me. Let's start talking. And I will help you understand the insurance terms, the insurance lay of the ground, the strategy they're using. And if it turns into something that is of value for you, then let's keep doing it.
Yeah. And I know, again, I won't say names, but a friend of mine in that group said, they've turned 8 claims over to you and it was 8 wins. I don't know what your win is, but he said, man, every time we turn to him, he turns it into something, and it's been a great thing. So they were very happy with you and Vince and others that have used you. So thank you for doing this and finding our little bitty niche industry, and wish you all the best. And if you'd want to do more, or if you got something that's new that you think our industry needs to know, please reach out to me. And we'll use the megaphones and try to tell everybody.
That's a good idea. I could, from time to time, if I find something that I think would be helpful, I could shoot it to you.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
especially stuff that's like a warning to us or a heads up or something that's new that we need to know. We've got a pretty unique battle we fight every day anyway, and so we can use all the help we can get.
Yeah. And I want to thank everybody that, especially in the chimney groups. I just think it's a great it's a great trade. I love you guys. It's great.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for spending the time with us. I hope you get a bunch of calls. You're going to get a call from me about the situation happening to me today. So we'll be talking again soon. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you, Kirk.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. I've learned a ton. Great guy. First time I've actually ever really talked to him, heard great things about him. And man, we need more advocates like him in this industry that are trying to help us, not beat us down. We got enough governmental controls and homeowner issues and insurance issues. So it's nice to have some guys on our side. So hope you guys enjoyed tonight's SureFire Live. Please share this if you found it informational and people can use it. Please reach out to Kirk. But first, Kirk, that's gonna be his new tagline. I'm gonna get a shirt, maybe a website says "But first, Kirk," and I think you should go with it. So, all right, guys, that's our time. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you next week. See you.